Hello Milky fans, Melkstu here with you for another Idle Heroes video. How are you? I hope you are well. Today is a very special video. I am doing a reaction video to comments. I don't usually do comment reaction videos, but I felt in this instance, because of the individual involved, and the fact that he has his own YouTube channel and he's made some pretty strong comments, some I agree with and some I don't, I think it was worth a video by itself. So there was an individual who chanced upon my video. His name is Idol Anjudan. Hope I said that right. I've watched your videos a couple of times and I think the pronunciation is okay. Forgive me if I'm wrong. So Idol Anjudan, the key thing that he made a comment on was regarding Void. So he said, he's made a video called People Say Void Sucks, I Say It's Amazing. So let's talk about what Anjudan has said and what I agree and disagree with. So first statement, first clarification I'd like to put out there is that Void is a lot of different things. It's not just one thing. So I think to make a sweeping statement that says it sucks is not true. I didn't say it sucks. So there are three parts to Void that we can see right now, and there's obviously going to be more. But let's focus on the three parts. Void Vortex just came out today. I'm neither here or there about it. It's another way to get the purple space crystals. It's also another way to get the, what's it called? This stuff, the stellar shards, which you need to void enable your heroes, right? So I'm not going to argue over that. It's going to speed progress up, and I think it's just more gameplay for free, right? I've no issues with that, and I'm not going to say it's crap. Realmsgate, I also have no issues with. I've never made a video that says, this is just an absolutely terrible part of the game, right? Why would I say that? You get free stuff. This is the only way to get purple space crystals, as well as the cots, the purple cots and the stellar shards, apart from the vortex, right? So I have no issues with Realm Gates. I think that's more gameplay. I have no issue with Void Vortex. I know for certain people it's going to get repetitive, and fair enough, but I have no issues with that. What I do have issue with is Cause and the Compass of the Transcendence, right? Just simply based on my experience, spending 42 with Cause of the Transcendence, spending $200 American and God knows how many gems, I still haven't got any key copy heroes. And that, for me personally, is what this Compass of the Transcendence is about. Recognize for you that it's not the same thing. So the other thing to keep in mind is that Idol Anjudan is a free-to-play player, and he's a low-level player. So he's around level 108. And that's important for the kind of discussion that we're going to have right now. So Idol Anjudan has made some pretty strong statements. And let's see in the comments what he said, and then I'll react to it, right? So he's basically said, I've done 21 cores, got Tix Belrain with 4-star. I didn't even select them. I buy every day. It's a great source of food. So there's two statements in that. One's regarding food, and then there's one regarding just like good heroes, right? As a low-level free-to-play player, he has a very good point. Idol Anjudan makes a very compelling point. As a super low-level player, where you haven't progressed in Sealand, and you haven't progressed in Event Raid either, right? So you can't buy the extra food every day in Event Raid here, level 8 for 50 gems per smash, right? Because that's arguably the cheapest source of food besides Sealand 17 and beyond, which is here, right? In the absence of that being available to you, Void potentially is a good source of food. And certainly the math supports that. Well, the math basically says POs is a better source of food. But then I guess the thing that I think was worth calling out and acknowledging, and Anjudan is absolutely right about this, is the fact that as a low-level and free-to-play player, it's going to be super hard for you to get copies of heroes, like of just decent heroes. So when Anjudan says he's got Tix and Belrain, and he didn't expect them, he's absolutely right. Right? Because it's as a free-to-play player, you are like stuck. You're at the mercy of the game. So when these unexpected, really good heroes come along, it is all a bonus. But as you progress through the game and as a later game player, like you saw me summon Ada and Penny when I did my 42 core summons. They are completely useless to me. I already finished Sealand 20. I have 2 Adas, right? That's my situation. But as a low-level free-to-play player, conceivably, right, doing Compass of the Transcendence is a very quick and dirty way to get heroes, provided you're willing to put up with the swings and roundabouts and the odds of getting it. So the only thing that's worth calling out is that conceivably, you're going to end up with a lot of copies of a lot of good heroes, and you're going to have just way too many projects to work on. So that's the first thing. But as an early game free-to-play player, yeah, you have a point. Cores could be the way to go until you get to a point where you can unlock and you can get cheaper food. And that's about it. And then in terms of key copy heroes, like, there's going to come to a point where you got to have to focus on certain... The thing about this is and you said it yourself, like, you got these heroes that you'd expect, and that's great when you're very early on in the game. But when you've started focusing on key projects, and you said this yourself in the video, you sacrificed the 10-star Garuda just to progress Russell to E5 because you shouldn't work on too many things at once. Like, the Cause of Transcendence, right at the get-go, when you're just trying to get any good hero, very good, very good. But when you're starting to focus on projects and working on 1 or 2 specific heroes, the only way to get copies of those specific heroes is doing 4 loops of Prophet Orbs, or 4 loops of scrolls, or in an ideal world, 4 loops of scrolls, or 1 loop of scrolls, or 2 loops of scrolls, and then 4 loops of Prophet Orbs, which is like an emerging hybrid strategy that I'm working on right now. But that's the only way to get key copies of heroes. Otherwise, you're at the continuous mercy of, if you're just relying on luck to get key copies of heroes, apart from the ones that you selected, that's a really high-risk strategy, right? So that's the only thing to keep in mind. So I don't disagree with you that Cause of the Transcendence, potentially very early on, is a much better deal than Scrolls and Prophet Orbs, especially because food is so expensive to you, and especially because you just need any good hero to start off with, right? So early on, like level 108, below level 150, I can't fault you on your argument. You have a very valid point. As you progress, I think that argument that you've made slowly falls away. So that's the first thing. Well, that's my reaction, my comment on your first comment up here. The second comment you've made down here, talk about resource maximization. I get transcended crystals that go towards my void heroes. Don't disagree with that. That's factual. I should get to void heroes quicker than normal players. That's probably true. If you are just focusing on just buying cores the whole time, you're going to get a lot of these crystals a lot faster than everyone else. So I don't dispute that, right? And you're going to get to void heroes probably sooner than me. But then your statement here, the void heroes or transcendent heroes, when you summon, you're saying those heroes are the new artifacts in the game. I cannot agree with that particular statement. I think, as I've always said, artifacts are enduring while heroes are not. Sia is the current vogue hero that you must have right now. It's hard to say if she's going to be still like the must-have hero a year from now, right? Because if you look at my other video, my 2019 lineup video compared to my 2020 video, look at how many heroes from 2019 are still relevant in 2020, right? But then look at the artifacts from 2019 and 2020. Those pay-to-win artifacts are still the exact same. They have not changed, right? So for you to say that the Transcendent Heroes are the new artifacts, that is super bold. You're basically saying that Swordflash Sia will never, ever go out of date. She will always be relevant, and you will always need to build her. Because that's what an artifact, when I say artifacts enduring, that's what it means. Like, you can use it anywhere, and they last forever. So I think that's a very bold statement to make. I don't know, that could be true, right? Am I willing to gamble getting Swordflash Sia, like, just a bit earlier than everyone else, by buying cores and sacrificing, I guess, getting the new Light Dark hero, getting the new non-light dark hero, not at this point in time. Like, you could be way ahead of our time in making that statement and doing that. And I encourage you to keep going with your cores only strategy. I would love to see where you end up in 1 year's time, right? Just I would, if you prove me wrong, mea culpa. Like, every time I'm wrong, I'm always the first to put my hand up and say I'm wrong. I have no ego to protect, right? I do this. I do these videos for the benefit of everyone else. I will make mistakes, and when I make mistakes, I acknowledge it. So, you saying that Transcendent Heroes are the new artifacts, that's super bold, my friend. Go for it. Just go for it. So then, if we look at some of your other comments, so that's Jono. So yeah, so this relates to the first point about, like, just you are at the mercy of the randomness of doing these transcendent compass of transcendence. The like your point here around Emily, Dashmog, Valentino, Starlight, Sigmund, like, I mean, those are all good heroes for someone that's just starting out. They are not terrible heroes at all. They are very good, very early game. Are they any good later game? Not necessarily, and they're just food. So it's I don't disagree with you. So then you make a point here, Anjadan, about remind me about the odds of getting good heroes in scrolls and POs compared to cores. When you buy PO, you're basically buying 3 stars. PO's like buying 4 stars with dash of 5 stars. Cores is just getting to the meat. So I don't disagree with you about the odds. The odds isn't what is at contention here. So my response to him was basically this. You can't just look at the odds of the game. Odds is one part of the equation. You have to look at the cost of acquiring those odds. Like, it's a 2-part equation, right? So, like, Powerball, for example. If you buy lottery tickets in Australia, right, you can buy the cheap version, and you need 7 numbers to win, and they'll just give you 7 random numbers. If you pay a bit more, or like a lot more, you can guarantee one of those numbers. You can guarantee basically the Powerball, right? So if you pay, like, I don't know, I'm making the numbers up. If you pay like $100, that ticket basically guarantees one of the numbers that gets, like, you don't even have to worry about it being drawn. It's just whatever number comes up, let's just say it's already crossed off the list, and you just need to get 6 other numbers out of the 7 to win the jackpot. So it's kind of like the point that you make is invalid without considering the cost. Because if you're paying just way more to get those better odds, then you've got to ask yourself, is it really worth it? So that's why I've asked you here, like, what would you rather? A 99% chance to win $100 or 1% chance to win $10,100, right? You got to look at the cost. It's not that easy just looking at the odds, because you can pay for those odds. And arguably, that's what, when you do Cores of the Transcendence is, right? You're paying to get much better odds. So that it's just not that easy to just say, look at the odds. You've got to look at what mathematicians called expected value, which is the probability of getting a certain value times the actual value, right? It's not that easy. So that's the, I guess, the key comment that I would make. But then you mentioned here, look, considering what Barry, June, GDP did with the Cores as the nominal high point, I see their pulls as average. There is room to do even better. So the good thing about this kind of RNG simulator thing is someone can go away and simulate what it's like someone can go away and do simulations in real life. Like, we don't have to buy hundreds and thousands and dollars worth of cores just to get the data. And so that's exactly what one of my subscribers, actually, I don't know if you're a subscriber, Jono. If you aren't, you're a terrible person. But Jonathan Ho, so he's basically gone away and he's done a Monte Carlo simulation. So what a Monte Carlo simulation is, he's just basically done millions and millions of cores. He's basically rebuilt this engine that summons these heroes out, and he's done millions and millions of summons. And so here's what the data says, right? So basically, from 300 cores, when we saw Barry, Jun, GDP do their summons, the average number of key copy heroes they got, so on the left and the right, was 16, right? I watched their videos, scribbled it down. That's 900 data points, right? But then when you watch my videos, I got 0. I should go at least somewhere between 1 and 2. So then you're kind of like, well, what the fuck's the real answer, right? You would think that a sample of 900 is large enough, but John Ho here, right? He's gone away, he's done millions, right? Monte Carlo allows you to do that, allows you to do millions and millions of summons. And so basically, mathematically, we have the answer. You're basically, out of 300 cots, you're only expected to get 11 key copy heroes. So something like one of these on the left or on the right, right? But then he said, if you include like these heroes, like jackpot draws, like non-key copy heroes that you might get just at random, then that number gets to about 14. So your statement here, Anjadan, about Barry and June as being like above average, right? Well, mathematically speaking, based on Jonathan Ho's analysis, which I have to trust because he's done millions, right? This is a giant slot machine. He's done the simulations a million times, and this is about the law of large numbers, right? He's basically saying, no, that's not true. That 16 Melksul that you calculated from watching their video, that's on the high side. That like the average is actually 11. So when you said what you see as Barry June GDP achieving as being average, that's not true. They're on the high side of the average. Whereas me, I haven't gone a single key copy hero from doing this. So I'm below that average, right? And just to prove a point, I can't believe I'm doing this. Just to prove a point, this is like stupid. So none of you should do this at home. I will buy another one just to prove a point that I probably won't. I'll still end up with something shit, right? So I've bought another core just to prove a point. So let's just do that. There we go. I got an Emily, right? I wasted 1,500 gems just to get an Emily. Food tier hero for me. Well, actually, I can use it from my Mimchi's team. But my point is, like, you using me, Barry, June GDP as data points, it's super dangerous, right? It's it might inform you. It'll give you some clue about what to expect. But the reality is, what Jonathan did with the Monte Carlo simulation, that's as good as it gets. He's basically saying you will get 11 key copy heroes, so something on the left and on the right, from doing 300, right? So that's like one every, what are the odds? Fuck, that's fucking terrible. So 30, so every 30 you should get one, and I haven't even hit that yet. I'm at 43, right? So, or even 14. Did I get anyone good from... It's just, look, it's the numbers just aren't there, mathematically speaking. So, I'm not disparaging the fact that you got great heroes from doing your first 4 cores or your first 21 cores. It's obviously yielded for you what you think is an advantage. And you should actually go for that. If you trust in cores and you believe that a Transcendent hero is the next artifact, and you believe that you will continue to get really good copies of heroes that you need and you want to build, and that it's going to be manageable, you should go for that. And if you continue not to have access to cheaper food, then you could argue you could go for that. Although I would say profit orbs, if you look at my latest spreadsheet, profit orbs are actually, when you consider the cost of a profit orb and what you get in return, are actually much better than a core. Like, you just got to believe in the math. So study the spreadsheet. Like, you have access to the spreadsheet. All the odds are in there, right? So there's math, there's actual math behind it. We've data mined the back end of Idle Heroes. People have gotten the odds from the engine, and we've calculated mathematically the expected values. So then, over the long run, it basically says profit orbs are better than cores from a copies perspective, as well as copies perspective, as well as a food perspective. So that's the video. I thank you, Idle Anjadan, for taking the time to comment and watch my videos. I think you make a very valid point. Like, very early on, very, very early on. Like, so say if you're just starting out the game, even if you're a whale or a bit of a spender, I think cores is probably the way to go, just to get things started, to get like some really good heroes, and to get food going as well. But I think as you move up the level curve and your spend levels, and you start to focus on key heroes, Prophet Orbs is unfortunately still the way to go. You have to look at the math. Like, if you don't believe the math, I'm happy for you to challenge the assumptions and say, look, Melkstool, you're wrong about this number, or what you've done here with this particular calculation. But as it stands, the math is basically saying that Prophet Orbs are a much better deal than cores in terms of both food and obtaining copies. At the end of the day, this game is just basically one giant casino. And the brilliant thing about casinos is that you can calculate mathematically what the odds are, and whether or not certain games are just worth playing over others, right? The analysis that we do on this channel and that we've done with the help of a lot of you out there, just to help refine our approach, as well as some of the thinking and the numbers, leaves me resolute in still believing that Prophet Orbs and Scrolls are the way to go in this game vis-a-vis cores. Just both from a value perspective, from getting food and from getting key copies of heroes. Where you have convinced me that I'm probably need to rethink what I say, Anjudan, is the value of cores for very early game players, where basically you're just after any copy of a key, like a really good hero, and you're just paying like way too much for food. I think cores potentially then have maybe a better value than Prophet Orbs and Scrolls, although mathematically speaking, it's hard to argue against those things. Anyway, I suppose if you want to accelerate your progress and you're willing to spend a bit as an early game player, so like below level 100 or below level 120, then cores is probably the best way to accelerate your progress. But it's going to cost you, right? Anyway, that's the video. Thank you very much for your comments, Anjudan. I think they were very helpful in challenging some of my thinking. And thank you, Jonathan Ho, for doing that Monte Carlo simulation. It basically reaffirms the fact that cores are just terrible value, because when you plug in Jonathan's number into the spreadsheet, the value of cores just diminishes even more. Guys, have a great weekend, and thank you as always for watching.